Welcome, everybody, to Daryl and Boo's weekly update. This week, we are live on YouTube and on LinkedIn, just to spice things up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Daryl, how was your weekend?
Weekend was nice. I'm trying to think if we did anything particularly interesting or worth one thing, at least I found interesting. Somehow my wife, on one of her social media feeds, learned about these local company that makes donuts. They're called Plates by Pates. I was just actually looking them up before we jumped on here. And the deal is this person makes a limited number of donuts on a weekly basis. And you basically have a short window of time to go online and put your name to have the privilege to buy some of these donuts. And then I think he takes a total of 95 people, if I remember what my wife told me correctly, and you only get 4 donuts. It's not like you even get a dozen. So she got on her first try, and I understand there's several people who have tried and were unsuccessful. So we went and picked up these donuts yesterday, and you have a window that you can go pick them up. And it was at this small produce store on East Hastings. I think you can pick them up between 1 and 3, and you kind of queue up and pick them up. So it's very soup Nazi-ish, but I don't eat donuts myself, but they looked delicious, and I haven't had a chance to talk with my wife to get the review. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. You make a good product, and then you make it in limited supply, and it's amazing how people will react and line up for your business.
Wow. So is it inflated prices?
I don't think, I don't recall what she said she paid for them, but I don't think it was a crazy amount of money. They were unusual, like there's not your standard, I think they're vegan sourdough donuts. So for the people that are vegan, I think there's obviously, there's a demographic there, but I don't think the prices were extraordinarily high, but very interesting flavors, and not your standard donuts that you would pick up at Tim Hortons, I guess. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. How about you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Again, just kind of wrestling with the weather, trying to get outside to do stuff. Did manage to get in a quick ride, like 1 lap basically, and got up on the hill just the last couple of weeks of the season. So that was good to do. We did go to the mall yesterday, which is different. We don't really, get out to do that kind of stuff, but it was just raining. So we wanted to get out and do something. Now I went and bought this jacket that I wanted to show. Now this looks like a blazer, and I think John's seen this link before. I was talking about it. And there's this Japanese company that makes blazers that are basically fleece. So they're basically jogging pants, but in the form of a blazer. This isn't quite fleece, but it's almost like a hoodie that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
It looks like a blazer, so I was pretty excited to pick up that at the mall yesterday.
They call those swackets. If you go
Oh, yeah.
to Harry Rosen or places like that, that's what they've actually got a name now. Sweater
Nice.
jackets. But,
yeah. I'm pretty proud to own my first swacket. Then I'm gonna get a couple more
looks
colors.
good. Fits you well.
I think it passes off. Maybe get like a white shirt or something underneath to give it some contrast, and I think it'll pass.
It goes well with your Engine X hat.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, not that Jon is full on Engine X here, but we have our guest today, Jon Calalang. Jon, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back on. I like your swacket.
Thank you. I'm very proud to wear it.
Did you get the pajama bottoms to go with it though? I mean, it's got to be a full outfit.
I don't know. But you know what? First, I think what we should kind of get out of the way right now is that you guys are both in a March Madness bracket. If I,
are we still in the bracket?
Like, well, I'm not sure I'm in. I actually signed up. I'm a big sports fan, but I don't follow college hoops closely at all. But when you sign up, you can autofill like they all have, and they pick the highest tier of every team. I thought that's kind of boring because everyone's going to do that. And then there was a second option where I didn't really dig into it, but it uses apparently some sort of algorithm to kind of pick what they think might work out best. Oh, that's interesting. And I think the team that it showed me to or had me to win was eliminated in the first round, and most of my teams are gone.
So we're a Zags house. So my wife went to Gonzaga. We carry Gonzaga clothes. That's my hat back there. So we don't really care other than that they win. But it's been fun. A colleague of, are you in Jill's bracket as well? Or are you in a different bracket?
Yeah, Jill's.
Okay. So I've played in her March Madness tournament, I think 3 or 4 years now going. And 2 years ago, my wife got last place. Like she won for last place. It was like $100. It was hilarious. And then this year I'm in strong contention for being last place. I had a couple upsets. So I think I did 2 brackets, not in hers, but I did one in hers and then one in another one. And that one I wrote on paper is actually doing pretty good. I had a bunch of upsets in there. Although on the one in Jill's, I expected a ton of the mid-state colleges to go a lot farther. And that didn't happen. It's like random colleges are winning. Last year, I think there was 3 upsets. There was like at least 4 the day before, a couple ones out. It's been fun to watch because people in brackets just get totally smashed, guessing on what they're going to do to win.
Yeah, it's that. Like I said, I don't follow it during the year. I couldn't even tell you who like the top 4 or 5 teams are, but it's just amazing basketball to watch. I mean, obviously they're talented young guys, but just the full on nature with which they just go every single game. You don't have to be a basketball fan to enjoy that. It's so cool.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's there right now, right? It's only family that gets to go to the games. We went to the Final Four 3 years ago, and it's fun. It's electric. Right? Like the college basketball is. I mean, it's better when you're there, but it's really fun.
Yeah, I got to go many years ago when it was in Seattle.
Okay,
it was a great experience.
It was kind of the same for us. We were living in Denver, so it was in Denver, so it was close. For you that'd be fairly close.
Yeah, good drive.
Nice.
What do you do? Did you go in any brackets this year?
I did not. I should have actually, because sometimes I find those fun. I did once, like years ago. I did this. My in-laws are English, and so I did this soccer or English football pool with them, and I just did it totally Moneyball style, and I just picked my team based on math and based on salary and previous points or points from the previous season, and I ended up winning the whole thing.
Wow.
Just from doing it that way. I kind of enjoy it from just crunching numbers perspective, but I did not enter the bracket this time. I don't have a good segue, but Jon has been working on some Volterra stuff, and that's kind of been an ongoing theme for us for the past few weeks here. We've been bringing on people who have been giving their commentary on the Volterra acquisition. And Jon, you've been a little bit more hands-on with the stuff, actually playing with it and actually speaking to customers about it. So maybe we can get a couple minutes of your thoughts on it so far.
Yeah, it was a different mindset. So there's been this nagging, I guess, in the back of my head where I've had to do like our executive briefing centers and customer engagements where people ask me like, what do I think is going to be the next wave of things, right? Like I see hundreds of customers a year. So they go, oh, what's the trend? What does it look like? And I think it was 1.5 years or 2 years ago, I did this presentation on SDN, like SD-WAN or SDN technologies. And that in the back of my mind was something that needed to come back up, right? Like we had NSX or ACI or name other flavor of it. And that has always been back there. Like if you can master that technology, you have this ability to literally create any kind of structure you want. And this Volterra was not even on my radar. I'd seen a few different pieces of it. Like some companies do SD-WAN amazingly well. Some companies were already starting to go to market with things like Kubernetes on the edge. But I didn't realize that some company was doing this all together. So when it hit that we were acquiring them, for one, the name was, I didn't know who they were. So it was a little bit of a research. I am a hands-on learner. So we got a bunch of training that we were supposed to go through and watch this. I didn't do any of that. So I'm glad this is nicely recorded. I did, however, after about 3 weeks, I got a customer that was interested in seeing it, like just seeing a specific use case. So I got to invest a little bit of time there. And since then, I've converted almost everything that I had as an ingress in my labbing environments and my demo areas into Volterra. And it's been amazingly fun to learn. This customer wanted regional onboarding for VPN tunnels. And like F5 couldn't really solve that before, right? Like you had to have a POC there. You either had to, lease space with some kind of telco provider or something like that to even get close to being able to solve those problems. And it was overnight. Like we had 20 POPs. This customer's like, oh, I have presence in South America. I have presence in Africa. Like I want a regional onboard, at least closer than New Jersey. Can you solve these things? I was like, yeah, like now I can. Like I couldn't have had this conversation with you before. It's the product is picked, and obviously, right, they had runway to pick and choose the things that they liked best out of all the public cloud offerings. One of the public cloud offerings in Google that just kind of stomps all over the other ones is this Anycast network that they advertise out of, whereas AWS and Azure, I think AWS is close now. Azure has something that's close to, but Google had it first, and like Volterra had it from the beginning. They were, of course, slower to release it, but that solves all kinds of technology problems. Like I don't have to worry about DNS. I don't have to worry about a bunch of stuff. It's kind of off the table. And then I can advertise out of 20 POPs. It's really cool.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
It's been different. I can see the vision that they were putting in place before we acquired them. And hopefully that vision, obviously gets to continue. But there's this, how do I solve like API version problems, or not version, but API problems of that needs to be closer to the client, but you can't really cache an API request. So if you can run the API services closer to the clients in that application delivery network, that solves all kinds of things. And yeah, you can do images, but you could actually put the app in South America or in Africa and make that way easier for somebody to consume. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That whole distribution is just clicks as well, right? Like once you get everything loaded in, then you can just pop and go.
Yeah, you basically pick where you have resource available, right? So if I have some resource available on premises, some in a cloud, some in a closet, I can place these pieces across the Volterra backbone where it binds to those closet, cloud or on premises, and I can expose those things, and then I can do things like expose the closet to the cloud, and that's all it does, right? It doesn't expose it anywhere else. So there's a lot of fine grain use cases that you can pull out of all of that stuff. Acquisitions were a big one, right? Like last year was a boom for technology. So you can kind of expect that over the next couple of years, they're going to get gobbled up by bigger technology. And having to deal with acquisitions is always an issue, but you could plop one of these things inside that acquisition account, and then you and that acquisition account can share data and never have to build SDN, never have to build WAN, never have to do any of those things. It's all managed by the managed service. So
wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's really, really easy. I mean, I spent a lot of time in NGINX and Big IP, and not doing any training, I had something up and running in like 2 hours, just clicking around. I had to learn the terminology, which I think is the same with any technology, right? Like
sure.
There's typically a baseline for anyone to enter the market of technology. So what you call something and what somebody else calls something might be slightly different, but you just go figure out what that thing is that was rephrased. And then from there, build upon it. And it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to go talk to our customers about it. Obviously, we know Volterra was a pretty small company when we acquired them. So, we've been told we have to sit tight for a little bit before we're actively out there discussing with customers. We can chat in a high level like we're doing today, but any guesses as to when you think we might be out there towards the end of this year, actively promoting this solution, or even that might be a bit aggressive?
I don't know. I would say by the end of the year, you'll start to see more of it. Not to do all financial months, but given where we are at the end of this month and then where our fiscal year is, you don't really want to crunch just meetings on just that topic, just to have meeting's sake. Right. So I would say you'll start to lighten up probably going into the next few months of conversations. And then it'll be really next year being, I think our year ends right in September. So like going into next year and the year after, you'll see a lot more stuff. Also the integrations, like it's still its own standalone product, right? NGINX is still its standalone product, and Big IP is still its own standalone project or product. So you won't see the mixes of where we can move some of the really fun stuff from one product or another product into that one. Or how we can hook that one to the other two till later. Right? The value add process isn't done yet, right?
Yeah.
Cool. It'll be exciting once we get to that point. I'll move into, it's a good segue for news. I'll move into speaking of cutting edge stuff. Jon or Daryl, have you guys bought any NFTs yet?
I am not. I listen to Snacks daily. I'll throw names out there, which is it's a fun podcast. It lasts like 10 minutes every day, and they NFT'd a podcast that they had about NFTs. So it was really fun to listen to the level of onion around that. But I have not.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. And then that's probably one of the biggest things that I just can't seem to understand is the fact that it's seemingly you can NFT anything. So it seems to me is if you can do that, the value is going to diminish really quickly, but it seems to just be blowing up. It's going in the opposite direction. So I'm missing something, but it's pretty cool.
Do you, I mean, I'll talk nerd stuff like this. Do you think it's because of the miss for so many people that didn't invest in cryptocurrency that now they're like, I missed that market, right? I missed that space. It's whatever dollar amount. I'm going to invest in digital crypto item, right? Like,
I think people sometimes mix up cryptocurrency versus blockchain.
Sure.
And so, they look at something that's kind of crypto based and then assume that's money, which in this case, it's defining a value. So yeah, there's probably a whole lot of that. Like there's still people that are buying GameStop.
Yeah. And I think it also speaks to what I was just chatting about earlier with these donuts is people want to have something that is limited edition. The collectors, everybody likes to have something that is unique and potentially is going to go up in value.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's the LeBron James Top Shot.
Oh, I saw this. So I don't remember who posted it. It was either an Instagram feed I followed, but I didn't realize that was an NFT. Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah. So his most expensive. Let's see here.
The dunk he did or something, right?
Yeah, his dunk I think went for $213,000. And that person owns that now. That Top Shot.
So I wonder how that's going to go against like Getty Images, right? That company that is known for owning digital content for basically everything, right? Like what makes the one shot in this one space different than the one shot that the Getty Images took, right? Over that, like, is there some kind of infringement now because one is technical property versus a pic? Like, I mean, they're both property. That's
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch that. That's a good point too. Is Getty Images going to change how they do things, or is there?
Right? There's all of a sudden those static images are just going to become irrelevant. It just continues to evolve.
Right. The really good ones, like that one where he's dunking, like that sells a news article, right? Or an ad or something like that. So there's property value to that. Mm-hmm. But the one that's taken 3 feet to the right, that looks almost exactly the same. And most of those, I mean, at this point, I don't know that they're actual cameras, right? They're probably a recording. And then you take out that one frame, so it looks amazing. And like, then does the video become an issue? Like, it snowballs to because now your one shot is in the same video that somebody else has. Like,
yes,
it's confusing.
Because I watched a video about these guys were doing a hike through somewhere near the Grand Canyon, and it was a cave where you couldn't take video. You could take pictures though, and then they're like, well, if I take 60 pictures in a second, is that the same thing as a video at that point? Because now I own a whole bunch of pictures that I could stitch together to be a video, and cameras can do that. Essentially, if you hold down the shutter. So,
it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Interesting on that one. So another one here, actually, you know what? Let's bring this out since Daryl was talking about donuts. Tim Hortons just dropped its super popular mini eggs donut. Oh. I assume Daryl's probably not going to get this one.
No, that's interesting though. There's no limit to the amount of sugar you can stuff into one piece of pastry.
I think so. You should have brought your donuts in, because if this is like a jelly-filled vegan donut, and I'm not going to be able to see the difference, there needs to be some difference between the donut at Tim Hortons and yours.
Yeah.
Show and tell. You got to get back in this again.
Yeah, I will. I'm sure they'll be consumed by the time, so we're going to have to get a fresh 4 for the next one.
Another bit of news. We've been following this very closely because Daryl and I have been eyeing up. There's a sports radio station that has been canceled, and there's a gap left in the market for a duo to take over the airwaves. And Don Taylor, a well-known guy in Vancouver for sports radio and TV, is going to be on a new show with Rick Dollywall. Debuting.
Yeah, Nolan back. He's a good buddy of mine's next door neighbor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of this is, but it sounds great.
This is the reason why we're on LinkedIn right now too, just to kind of cross promote and put the feelers out there. If anybody wants to sign the Daryl and Boo show for a radio show, we'll do it, or we could just self distribute just like we are right now. And then
only a matter of time, I think. Here,
he's going to roll up with a big contract, and I know John is a Schitt's Creek fan, and so the mansion from Schitt's Creek, before they got kicked out of it, is up for sale right now.
Wow.
It says right there, $20 million. So it was listed for, I didn't actually read through the entire thing. It was listed earlier this year for $14.9 million, and the sellers have raised the price
because the popularity. Yeah, demand. Like there's only one of these. Yeah, that's funny.
Alice.
Yeah, I missed that show. That show was really, really good. It won a bunch of, I mean, obviously won a bunch of awards for its last season. And then the actors have split off. Like, I forget her last name, but she's in a new show that's starting out now, which looks pretty good too. She has like multiple. I don't know if you have already looked this up. I don't remember the name of the show. It's like Kevin something. But it's shot in 2 different color palettes because she runs through like 2 different personas in her mind. So it's interesting. Like you'll get to see some depth coming out of the other characters. But I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Good
cast on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I watched another Canadian show, but it's not as heartwarming. But Letterkenny is hilarious. So Letterkenny.
Yeah. Those guys that play hockey are like guys that I grew up with my entire life. Every team had a couple of those guys. They're bang on with that part of it. That's for sure.
It's filled my Schitt's Creek gap.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe time for one more article here, or maybe 2 more articles.
I can plug Ben. You go watch The Last Blockbuster on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but it's on.
What part of Oregon is that in?
My town. It's like a mile from me.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I want to check that out.
Yeah. You said that's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on net, ironically, right? Like that's the big ironic news article for that is The Last Blockbuster is produced by Netflix. And
sell it as a DVD.
Yeah. Oh, you can. I think I talked about this before. You can get DVDs from Netflix still.
Really?
Yeah. Like what? But yeah, you can still get those.
Huh.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's I only watched the preview because I was too busy watching Letterkenny, obviously. But the preview for it was interesting. I didn't realize the market of how it worked for videos because I mean this was a long, long time ago, right? So I just remember going to a Blockbuster, but they were saying a Blockbuster video was a shared revenue. So in that picture, Blockbuster's on the corner. Right next to that is Papa John's, and then there's like a salon place in that same corner, and that's maybe I guess it's maybe a mile and a half from my house. So
wow, cool.
Yeah, shared revenue. Like they, I mean, I guess this is kind of a nerdy LinkedIn topic. I guess a video would cost say $100 to own that actual video. So if you were a mom and pop shop, and they're talking about this right in this part right here, it would cost you $100 to buy one of them, and then you'd rent it out over a period of time. You'd hopefully pay it off. And what Blockbuster did is they said, well, I will buy it from the movie studio for like $3, but every time somebody rents it, I'll give you a percentage of the rental. So they would get hundreds of them, right, of that video, and then the movie studio would get a percentage of every rental. So that's why they had so many versus the individual stores that only had a couple.
Yeah, I still remember when wife and I lived in Kitsilano, there was a block down the road. It wasn't a Blockbuster, but a Rogers Video, so a local version of the same sort of thing. And Friday nights, our local pub was right beside this Rogers, and we'd go down and have like a pint and some dinner, and then go pick out a movie on a Friday night before there was streaming. It was actually kind of a fun thing to do. It's not like I miss it and want to go back in time, but do have some fond memories of that. Picking up your licorice and all that.
My kids like going to the Blockbuster here.
Yeah.
They do have fake cards. So you can get the fake card. They use your ID here now, but like you can get the fake cards and all the swag, and they do have movie memorabilia in there. I think they go through like a picture and a walkthrough of what it looks like inside. There is an Airbnb tied to the Blockbuster. I don't know anybody that stayed in it. Being local, I don't know that I would go look for an Airbnb that's in my town, but there is one there. But the kids like going through. And last year, I guess it wasn't really last year, the year before, they still get new releases, right? They get a ton of new releases that come out of the theater. There weren't really new releases in the theater though last year. So going in there, it's kind of a time machine of 2019.
Yeah.
With not many new turnover titles. But going out of this year and into next year, I think it'll, if they sustain, right, there'll be more in there, and we would know, we pick them out, and it's still less. Like it's $4 for us to rent a movie. It costs less than it does on Prime or any of the streaming services.
Huh? Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Jon. And just for anybody who is watching on LinkedIn right now, we stream this live every Monday on YouTube weekly. So we'll just sprinkle in the LinkedIn every once in a while. So head over to youtube.com/Daryl and Boo, and you can subscribe on there and you can see all the stuff. Otherwise, there's darylandboo.com. You can go subscribe to our mailing list on there, or you can listen to this as well. So thank you very much, Jon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, Jon. Bye, folks.